check and check and check.
Is this thing? Remember our teaser trailer? Is this thing on? We thought we were so funny.
So quirky.
Hey, hey Mariah, is this thing on?
Testing.
We good?
Are we good?
There you go.
My hair's drooping a little bit. This is my first episode without a hat, so
And it's Zane's 20th time wearing that T-shirt.
I didn't want to say it.
I don't have any clothes. I mean, I have clothes. I just have 15 shirts that I wear all the time.
He has his favorites.
If you guys look through all the thumbnails I've worn this shirt.
You should have said like you have 8 of them. Like you got like a pack.
You can't come on. What I bought eight Brockton.
Bronchitis.
Brockhampton. Wow. Oh my God, Brockton. Yeah, I have like 10 Brockton shirts.
And he was a big fan. All right, guys. Well, let's get into the episode. You already know what's coming, baby.
It's coffee time, baby.
We got to get a synchronized dance going because they got their thing they do every single time. And
I know, but
we got to get it figured
whole
out.
And that's all we got. Let us have it. That's all we got.
Like I was saying, they don't have their whole body. All they got is their hands. We got to work with their whole body when we do these dances.
Which should make it a little bit easier.
No, it shouldn't. To do something synchronized, I don't think so.
So Zane and I were talking last night about our first big break in LA. As soon as we moved here, we didn't know anybody. We kind of were finding our way in LA, trying to just figure out the lifestyle.
Oh, and we thought we were actors, man. We thought we like
we hadn't made our break into traditional yet. We were just Vine stars.
And this is when they're like gathering up the Vine stars like they are with the like TikTokers and coming up with these shows. They were doing this with Vine stars. They're like, oh, we're going to put them in movies. We're going to put them in shows.
And we got picked for a show. Well, it was a pilot, which was really exciting because we'd never had the opportunity
Did
before.
it take off?
No, it didn't take off.
It stayed on the runway.
The engines didn't even get turned on.
I thought the set. We got offered the job and the script. It wasn't like paid or anything, but we got the script and it was so exciting because it was like
it was so legit. We had never seen a full script before where it's got the what you're playing, what you're like, your words and everything. We're just like, this is so cool.
To be completely honest, I thought scripts like were only looked like that in movies. I didn't think it actually looked like that.
It's just
like,
a bunch of papers stapled together.
Exactly. So we get offered this opportunity and we study it. I remember studying it back and forth with Heath. I was so confident in it.
We were going over the lines.
How many lines did you have?
3.
I think we probably had like a page and a half of lines.
Yeah,
right?
it wasn't much.
Give a context of the characters
Okay,
in
so
the scene.
so the show it was basically a combination of Walking Dead and The Office.
They thought was Walking Dead in the Office.
We were the Viners, and then it was actual legitimate fucking actors.
When we saw who else was billed on this cast, we were like,
Timothy Chalamet.
it wasn't Timothy Chalamet, but it was like the guy. What's his name?
So what the show is about? It was like post-zombie apocalyptic thing where we're stuck in this office.
Yeah.
There's a mad scientist guy who's gonna try to figure this out. We're all stuck in this like afterlife together.
And they want to set it up like The Office, how like it's very improv and it's funny what's going on, but they're trying to survive a zombie
so
apocalypse.
Riff Raff, the rapper,
Yes,
is the mad scientist guy.
Did you meet him?
Yeah.
Cool.
Super interesting character, but he was.
Totally zooted, by the way.
Right, yeah.
So
he
fucking
kept
high.
like walking out, going to the bathroom, getting fucked up. Like it was really funny just to see him because
I remember us taking like 4 shots of Fireball before we went in.
We were so nervous. So it was him as like the main guy.
Okay.
And then there was also Haley Joel Osment.
Whoa. From The Sixth Sense.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we were like, oh my God, this is the real deal, baby. We made it. Like,
And then Zach Ward, who was in A Christmas Story, the little kid in
The
A
redhead?
Christmas
Oh
Story.
my God.
So wait, the redhead.
he was Scott Farkas.
Oh, Scott. That's the bully.
Yeah, he was the bully.
Scott Farkas.
Hold
His
on.
teeth were green.
The redhead?
Yeah.
We were
Yes.
we were told that it was the main kid of A Christmas Story.
He was one of the main
supporting
people.
actor.
Oh, I thought he was the kid with glasses.
No.
It's so cool.
Ralphie.
It's so cool.
Yeah, no,
Okay.
it's cool. But till now, I thought it was
that's funny.
Ralphie.
But yeah, so it was like big people that we like obviously recognized, and we're like, yo, dude,
This is
we
it.
were dapping each other. We were like, this is it. Like this is Hollywood.
And I
baby.
thought this was it. We were getting our makeup done. We were there at 6:30 in the morning.
Oh, and we were hitting this. We didn't know what to film back then. We were on Snapchat. We were like, BTS, we out here.
Set live, and I
Meetings.
promise you, I posted it not to be funny. I was like, set life.
Because it was exciting. It was our first
Right,
time
of
together,
course.
and it was stuff was happening.
You take
We
a
were
picture
like,
of Kraft. You're like, Kraft.
right.
Oh yeah, no, we were posting everything that we could legally.
That's
It was
so
it was
funny.
so exciting. So, anyways, our time comes for the show, and we're like shitting bricks. We've got full on camera crew, like mic'd up. I've never been hit with like a lav mic before, and we were just like so nervous.
I was not expecting the crew to be that fucking big. It was like a full-on production. It was about like 35 people.
Yeah.
And when it was time for Heath and I to go up, our eye level were these actors like Haley Joel, like these people are sitting there because they know it's like our first acting gig.
Yeah.
So they were trying to just be as supportive as possible. It was very clear that they were
Oh, they
like,
were nice.
They were nice, but you
So
know,
nice.
in the back of their head, they're like these fucking Viners.
Right,
Now looking
right.
back, now I know that's what happened. But back then, I thought they loved it. They're like, oh, they were so excited for us to be in it.
I vividly remember. So
I remember like it was yesterday.
Zane, I don't want to put you on blast, but Zane could not get his lines out to save his life.
I can't even get my lines out when we do the ad reads.
Right. But like imagine him trying to do the ad reads like we do for the podcast, but with a full on production.
I wish you remembered
Recording
the line.
everything.
I wish we could have recorded on the side just for us.
What
What
was
were
this-
your
what was it
characters?
about?
What were
Yeah.
We were just like people that worked in the office.
It's hard to explain it because there was really not much to any character. Every character was just
It was
kind of
like it was like we weren't supposed to be put into the show, but they were like these guys are Viners, they got a following.
Right,
We
but
were-
set
we
the
were the-
scene,
okay.
Set the scene. Like
we're in an office. We're
Right.
the goofballs. It's
Okay,
that's all we
needed.
had.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
And so everybody is just a wild character. There was a girl that was like would take off her shirt and she was like in a bikini and she was like the sexy one of the office. And then Alex James was the I don't even know what the fuck his
Oh my
character
God,
was.
I do remember
and
that
then we had Haley Joel Osment was the janitor. No, he wasn't a janitor. That was Ed Steeples was the janitor. Was his name? Is that
I
his
have
name?
no
Ed Steeples. What's that white trash show?
What's new?
Her name's Earl. His name's
My
Earl.
name's
My
Earl.
name
My
is
name is
Earl.
Earl. He's in that.
he said her
her
name
name's
is Earl.
Earl. He's in that. He's like probably.
Gotcha.
This is a random side fact
Yeah.
about My Name is Earl. Did you know Jamie Lee Presley,
Yeah.
the blonde girl? She's married to a Hijazi.
You told me this.
Oh,
yeah, that's
yeah.
Interesting.
I've never met a Hijazi
pretty cool.
except for my own family members.
Sorry, that's back to what you're saying.
I was so nervous. I pretty much blacked out. But Heath remembers everything because he was actually getting the lines out, and I was hyperventilating.
It got to the point where we kept trying it over and over, and like Zane was just freezing. Like, and I felt so bad because I was sitting there and I was like, I wanted to help him, and I would like look at him and I'd just be like, trying to like get his words because like at the end of it, I knew his lines.
Oh no!
So they ended up going, "Do you guys like want to switch?"
Oh no!
Oh my god, I forgot about
Oh, because
that.
he had more lines.
That's so embarrassing.
And they were like, "Do you guys want to switch?" And I was just like,
I know in the history of television or filming that has never happened before where two people where their characters already set had to switch.
but like everybody else
Characters.
had already done their stuff, and it was just us, just over and over and over. And I
We were
remember,
taking the longest out of
looking
everybody.
at Zane, and Zane's breaking point was when two of like the producer director guys were laughing when Zane,
No. They were not laughing. This is worse than laughing. Because he had me as an eye level. So he was like, look at me as the eye level. So I was looking at him, and this was the worst thing that could have happened to someone like me for the first day. He goes, I fuck up my line for the 27th time, and he does this.
Oh.
That happened, and I blacked out.
and then that was it.
And
I
that
don't
was
even
it.
think we ever finished the
Oh
scene.
no!
We kept on going for another maybe 20 minutes, and we finally got the lines out. But I remember that was, I think, the worst day of after that was the worst day of my life. I remember feeling the worst about myself, and I think Heath just tried to just keep me in a good head for the rest of the day. Like, I just felt so bad about myself.
But you know what, baby? We got through it and we did it. And
and it's coming out this summer.
They cut us out of the trailer.
did we not make it into the trailer?
Y'all are still credited
Hold
on
on.
it.
Have you seen the trailer?
I remember watching it like 6 years ago when we did it, but I haven't watched it since then.
Heath, I just watched it the other day. It's like it was a good pilot. It was just like it wasn't
And
there.
we're not in it.
We're in it for half a second.
Can we watch it right now?
But yeah, let's watch it. Let's for sure watch it.
Yes.
And, you know, to top it all off, I want a can of garbanzo beans in the Deadpool.
Deadpool. Placing bets on who survives the week. Crazy shit that white folks do.
What are the odds on Heather?
2-1. She's a smoker, and we all know
No smoking in the facility.
What would they do to you if you actually ran into one of these zombies?
Zach's got a pretty good one. Mm-hmm. Show him.
Right on the window, and usually they come.
That shows masculinity.
You got to get really, really red. Just
Watching that made me feel like. So I didn't remember much, but seeing it, it was bringing me back. It was like watching like a Zoo Pals commercial.
Exactly.
When you were a child.
yeah,
Like it triggers something in your memory.
it's kind of traumatizing.
How did that not get picked up? That seemed pretty fun, right, guys?
Oh, it was a start for a really prosperous career for both of you. Like, we all have to begin somewhere.
But we learned a very, very, very valuable lesson that day, or I did, is that to stay in my own lane and do not try other lanes because other lanes are very slippery.
But you know what? We did it, and it was experience.
It seems like a really good YouTube series.
Like a good YouTube
it would
series, yeah.
crush on
Yeah.
YouTube. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was in a series one time, Mr. Student Body President. It was
I remember
it was
that.
pretty legit. I mean, I'm only in like 2 episodes.
Going on Amazon and clicking the episode and seeing him on
pretty
that was
cool.
pretty cool.
That's a cool feeling, like actually seeing yourself on like Amazon Prime show.
Right.
Amazon Prime though is pretty broad, so it's
Still
like
cool.
it's still cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It would be really cool to be like in a
on Netflix. Yeah, Netflix is like,
Yeah.
if you're on Netflix and the episode pops off, you're set.
It's crazy how popular somebody gets on a Netflix show compared to just somebody who's in like a box office movie in movie theaters.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
If you're on Netflix, like your social media skyrockets.
Yeah, like Jacob Elordi from Euphoria, I used to be like friends with or hang out with. He was in the kissing booth with Joey
Yeah.
King. I remember when he had like 5,000 followers and then he went to like 1.8 like overnight because of the Netflix
So
movie.
crazy.
But if somebody's just in a movie in movie theaters, they're
Yeah.
like, people walk out of the movie theater like, oh yeah, that was guy
And
was
it's
good.
crazy because their handles aren't even anywhere on the show or anything. People are
Right.
just people get addicted. They have to like research all of the cast, and I do that too. I did it with all of Game of Thrones. I researched all the cast. I looked at all the interviews.
Yeah.
So I get it. I get how people like that just get a million followers overnight.
Because you can look at your phone while you're watching a movie at home. You get
Yeah.
real curious and look people up. If you're in a movie theater, you're like, oh, well, I got to look at my phone after.
Yeah.
Especially when you're good looking. Like everybody wants to follow you. Like on
Definitely.
Instagram. It would
Must be
definitely help.
nice.
Do you think if that would have popped off, people would have looked up our Instagrams and followed us?
You done with the show?
Yeah.
I'm gonna
Have
follow
you,
them
have you
on
ever taken acting classes?
I did. So I did acting in high school, and then when we moved out here, I did
Didn't you do improv?
I did Upright Citizens Brigade.
You did
I
UCB.
sure did.
Oh, I don't consider that as an acting like class. I consider it as
What?
more of like
It's like improv,
Improv
sketch
acting.
writing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we also did I couldn't tell you what the class was, but we went to UCLA once a week, Zane and I.
That was
It
more
was
of
like
we were
a-
learning like that the industry more. It was like acting 101 or some shit like that, but we were learning about the industry
It was
more
about
than acting.
how to do auditions
Yeah.
and
There you
get
go.
introduced into the acting world.
Oh yeah, remember we did that improv class that we did for collab?
You were amazing in that.
Yeah, you were
I'll
really
never
good.
forget going to, because you were in one improv group for that cycle, and then
Yeah.
I did the other one after it with like David and Jason. But you and Zane.
Zane and I
I
did
think
one
I think you
together.
did it by yourself, and then I went after you, or not after you, but then I went. To
Oh,
the
Zane,
second
you
round.
were in
Yeah.
mine. But I remember watching you and being really impressed.
Thank
with
you,
you.
man.
You
That
made
means a
really
lot.
good choices. You knew how to go into scenes and like out of
Good
it.
job.
You'd be really good at end and come up with something that just
Yes,
makes
and.
sense.
Yes,
yeah.
yes, and. That's-
Yes, and.
I have so much respect for people who do improv.
Yeah.
I think it is a really essential and important exercise for your mind. But I like improv as an exercise. I think you can make
Yeah.
good discoveries and build like a stronger comedic muscle and wit for your brain. But I hate the pressure of performance improvising. That like
It's
really
just-
hard.
It's the fact that you're up on stage and people come to an improv show like make me laugh. It's the same with stand-up comedy.
Dance monkey dance.
They go with an expectation of I'm gonna laugh.
Right.
So you need to be funny. And there's something about like being up on stage and be like, I gotta come up with something funny here.
Yeah.
It's so challenging.
Oh God, I still beat myself up over like one wrong like choice I made.
Do you remember what it was?
It was like we were in an office. And
There were zombies.
there was something at stake, and I was just like, and if you don't do that for me, I'm gonna kiss her. Like I said that, and I was like, why did I say that? And
Like,
it
it
made the
didn't make
actor
sense.
so uncomfortable, and I was just like, I'm not going to, but it was the first thing that came to my mind. And I still, when I'm like taking a shower, I'm like, what the fuck? Why did I say that? It was like a stupid choice. I could have said anything, but
That's
like I was
funny.
just creating something, and it was like the first thing.
Right.
I didn't want to kiss her, but I was like, I need to come up with something fast.
I think you were there the time where you invited me to watch one of the UCB show, one of the improv shows, and I remember coming in, and it was like I remember I was late. I felt so bad, but I was like 5 minutes late. I arrived late, so I got in there. I was late, so everybody's kind of looking at me, so it was already a bad start. I sat there, and probably 10 minutes in, I don't know what happened. I don't know how this happened, but I was sipping water. And something really funny happened, and I went, and I
spit it out?
all over this dude that was in front of me, and I remember being so fucking embarrassed.
Oh no!
It was Matt. It was so bad. It was so much water. Like this guy was drenched from the water that came out of my
What
mouth.
was his reaction?
He was like, "What the fuck?" And I immediately ran. I was like, "See ya!" And I ran right out the door. And you guys didn't see me. I Ubered right out of there. I was so embarrassed.
Oh my God.
You don't remember that I just
thought
left?
he had a diarrhea attack.
Wait, this was very...
That's what I told you. That's what I told you. I think I was like, oh, I got to go to the bathroom. And I ended up just fucking leaving. I was so embarrassed.
I remember when I was a kid, I was at a Dallas Stars hockey game, and I was with my dad and my brother, and I had like a big old thing of popcorn in my hand, full of butter and everything, and there was this guy in front of me, and I like was fiddling with the popcorn, and it fell out of my hands, and the popcorn went all over this guy's jacket.
Oh no.
But I was like, oh, I'm sorry. And my dad was like, what the hell was that? And I was like, I'm sorry. Just like, he goes, that guy is, I think, wearing like a $400 jacket, and you just spilled butter. And it was like a nice suede jacket.
my
And I just remember thinking, I was like, oh, no big deal. I'm sorry. I'm just a kid.
not
I was like
coming
7
out.
years old. And I'll never forget
Yeah,
the look
that
on my
butter
dad's
grease
face
stain
where I
ain't
was like,
coming out for
that
sure.
butter popcorn is not coming out. But I remember as a kid, I was just like, I don't care. It's just popcorn.
It was an accident.
Yeah, you can wash it.
How was there that much butter on the popcorn where it like ruined his jacket?
Like,
That's
he was
some
just-
good ass
Was
popcorn.
was it just like filled out
Yeah, where
with
were
butter?
you?
That's my mom going to the movie theater. She would be popcorn, butter, popcorn, butter.
Ew, I never liked putting butter on my popcorn. Like,
Wait, your mom goes popcorn. So is she breaking up? Like,
No, she would
Like a
tell,
layer-
she would
like
tell
a
the
layered
people
cake.
to layer it. And they would do a little bit. She'd be like, more
She's
butter.
onto something.
Pop more.
That's being smart.
yo, that's some redneck shit. Like,
And then top it off,
More.
we would go to like the little stand where you could get like lids and straws and everything, and she would go to the pump and just load it up.
you know
Oh,
what? I,
fuck,
you know what
that's
I,
funny.
I do when I go to a movie theater. Get a little Parmesan cheese.
Yum.
And
What are you, Mariah?
put that on the popcorn because
Now
they
we're
do it for the
talking.
pizza, like the tiny little
Uh-huh.
mini pizzas. They all have those Parmesan packs. A little bit of that,
Wow.
a little bit of the jalapenos from the hot dogs. Let the jalapeno spice go down.
Wow.
A little tapatio,
Tapatio?
Tipatito.
Tapatio?
tapatio, a little of that. Make myself a
all
little.
right, we're going to the movie theaters after this, guys.
Chef.
That sounds
right.
nice.
I wish.
Hear me out. Put Nutella in a bottle, bring that shit in the movie theater, layer that shit
Zane,
with
you
popcorn.
have such a sweet tooth. It concerns me.
Nutella's not that sweet. It has nuts in it.
It's straight chocolate.
But butter? You like that shit's better than Nutella? Nutella's like it's like a healthy chocolate. It's like if you're gonna eat chocolate, you eat Nutella.
Yeah, I never snack on desserts at all.
I don't either.
But were you deprived of sweet stuff when you were a kid?
I think that's what it
Yes,
stems
I was.
from.
I had to sneak it all the time. Did I
That's
tell you
your
about the tub
That's
I'd
your
get
problem.
of-
I had a candy bowl that was completely accessible as a kid.
Yeah, my parents loved sweets, so it was just always accessible. So every once in a while, I'd grab a cookie, do the thing. I was a fat kid, but that was because I was just eating too much. But I have an older brother who was like super athletic, played football, working out every day, and he had to eat a lot because he was putting on muscle, like super lean. But I looked up to him and I wanted to be like him. So if I saw him eating a second plate of food, I thought as a 10-year-old little boy, I could be doing the same thing. So I was doing what he did. And little did I know that I wasn't putting in the physical activity.
like your brother was.
Exactly. And I blew up. I was big.
Oh, yeah, you blew the
But-
fuck up already.
You were in the Huskies. Do they still have Husky sections?
pants. I remember vividly
Oh, fuck.
14 Husky. I was a 14 Husky most of my life.
I think they've gotten rid of that though. Like when you walk into a
there's
J.C.
no
Penney,
way.
That's an
it's
awful
like
word.
men's big and tall, and there was a Husky section. And I
There's
remember
no
when I
way
was a
that's
kid.
still around.
There's no way.
Because
Do they
it's
still
like
have a petite section?
Yeah.
yeah, they
That's
definitely
me.
have that.
petite.
Petite.
My mom used to call me pleasantly plump.
Oh, that's cute.
That's, like,
That's
that,
cute.
that would be like my AOL like
Mama,
Pleasantly plump. 02.
yeah, pleasantly plump at
But like,
hotmail.com.
like Husky is like you had the waist big enough for the men's size, but you didn't have the height. You know what I mean?
Oh my.
They should have just kept it with all the other kids. Why was it this separate section in a store called Husky?
Extra, extra, extra large
Extra.
boys. You can
Like elastic jeans, like
don't even. Get me
elastic.
I used to get the pants that were elastic, but in the front they looked normal, so they didn't look like elastic. But they had like about
the back.
an 8-inch band of elastic.
That's what I'm wearing right now.
Wait, really?
Look at it. It's normal in the front, but it's elastic in the back.
That's so funny. That's what I grew up on.
Aw.
Oh, man, I'm
I
sorry.
was a chubby little boy, but it's all right.
When did you lose all that weight?
I lost my weight end of middle school. I started getting skinnier. Lost a bunch of weight. I was down to 135 pounds in freshman year.
Because I remember you were skinny in
I was
high
like
school,
weirdly skinny.
and then you'd wear all those clothes, which made you even look crazier.
Is that because you started working out?
No, I just
He hit puberty.
I was on. My parents called it the Xbox diet.
What was that?
I guess most people think like if you're playing Xbox, you're just gonna sit there and just be snacking. But I was so invested into Xbox. Like I played video games every single day. Like I was playing tournaments. I was really into Halo, and I was playing so much that I just wasn't eating. Like I just lost so much weight because of how much video games I was playing.
We do not advise this, by the way.
No.
Fuck.
I mean, Xbox.
I was about to buy an Xbox.
He
What do
said,
you mean?
"Okay, so,
Oh my
so what
God.
game are you doing?"
Right. Zane has an Xbox by the morning. It stays in the box for 6 months.
But yeah, so I lost a bunch of weight going into like high school, and then towards the end
A novel.
I stopped playing Xbox and I got thick again.
We appreciate you sharing your brave story.
Thank
Yeah,
you so
you
much.
are so brave.
Can we talk about MySpace real quick? How poppin' it was back in high school. Like it was the fucking shit.
I wish I could chime in, but I couldn't have a MySpace.
Me neither.
You
Hold on,
couldn't
wait, I
have a
didn't-
MySpace.
You did have a MySpace. I remember you having.
I had a MySpace for like 3 days before MySpace ended.
Wait, but me too.
I could
I
not.
wasn't allowed to have it, and then one of my friends, as soon as it started dying out, one of my friends was like, "Let's just make one. Like your mom won't know." So I made it, and me and my cousin like tried to look up layouts, and by the time I set everything up, like nobody was on it.
Oh,
Yep.
MySpace was a popularity contest.
I
That
could-
entire site.
I couldn't have one for the entire like fun period of it. And then at the very end, I went to one of my friend's house and he made me one. And I put up a picture of me and like, I had 80s glam. I was doing my thing. I had my hair out and I put like a classic rock song up and they were like, okay, you're good to go. And then everybody's like, you're going on MySpace? And I was just like, I finally got
So
on.
this had to,
Wow.
that had to have
Facebook
been like
came out.
2007 then.
I made an account on MySpace when I was in 7th grade, I think.
Wow.
Dude, I would make layouts. I would code layouts
Oh
for
my-
Me
it
too.
looks like
For
you were
bands.
the CIA. Just the code that you have to copy and paste and like.
For bands?
for bands. So like if you were like a band at my high school or like a local band in my town, they would like hit me up and I would make like banner GIFs and their layouts and run their
That's so
MySpace
cool.
page to make it look cool. And they would
was a
like
project.
pay me with like free weed. I
That's
don't
so-
know. They'd smoke me out or something.
That's so funny.
Smoke me out. Oh my God, I haven't heard that in so
Like I was just like, yeah,
Smoke me
like,
out.
they'd be like, yeah, come take pictures of us. We'll give you a few hits of the joint. No, we'd like go down to the woods and like take pictures of them.
That's so
Is this
funny.
the people you're like, I just want to see the weed?
Well, this is like I think when I was like high school and I was like a little used to weed, but I was
That's
I had
so
no money
funny.
to spend. I didn't like ever going and buying weed.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
And we know that you knew actually how to code a website. Me and Mariah, we just knew how to delete like if we wanted a different color, delete
Copy
the
and
brown and
paste.
put red.
Right, that's all
We
it
just
was.
knew that we knew the fucking greater saying slash word.
Right.
I wish my parents knew what I was doing and realizing that it was coding. Like I didn't realize that it could be a career in a
Right.
way.
You were
Granted, I
Wow.
wish my life didn't go down like computer and software engineering, but I wish it was recognized, and I didn't realize what I was doing could
Yeah.
They
actually
had
be
such
like,
a bright
Yeah.
young child.
I know.
Crazy.
Getting smoked out.
Dude, I
coding
spent so
away.
much time coding when I was a kid, and then everybody transitioned to Facebook.
Yeah, that Facebook transition, then I was allowed to like have a
I did not like that transition. I like MySpace was such like a. I didn't like that it was a popularity contest, but like you were on MySpace to be seen. Like,
Right.
oh, hold on, were you? Fuck, were you?
Scene,
Speaking of
SCENE.
Right.
Was anyone in like the whole scene MySpace era?
I had an
of
alternate.
it?
I wanted to be seen so bad.
So bad.
I had an alternate identity. I was still like Matt King, or I was like Matt at the disco or something. It was like my MySpace. I don't know.
I just remember going on like other people's MySpace and like seeing this like scene culture.
Like their top 10.
Right. And I remember like just everybody being seen at the mall. Seen at the mall.
Oh yeah.
So I remember like seeing like I had like a scene friend who had like the crazy hair and dressed like it, and he was all a part of the MySpace thing. And he was like, I'd go over to his house and he'd show me everything and be like, this is this person, this is this person. And I'd kind of like run into them, and I kind of got like associated with the scene crew. But I was like 80s glam. I wasn't like a scene kid, but they thought they took me in as one of their own.
Yeah.
And I remember being just like so welcomed. And I was like, I'm a scene kid, but I didn't have MySpace.
I'm a scene kid.
So there's this whole world on like MySpace where there's like the popular scenes of Florida, basically.
But it was like it was the popular kids that like weren't technically popular in school.
Yeah.
It was
In
an
your town, there
online
was one
popularity.
famous boy or girl or both that everybody knew
Right.
around the town,
Yeah.
but in school they weren't like popular. They were just famous.
And you
no
would
one
see them
Exactly.
hanging around the mall smoking cigarettes.
And-
and that was me.
And what was crazy is like we didn't really have smartphones back then. It was this private like desktop experience
Yeah.
that you had.
Yeah.
Like now kids are in high school and they like go on their phones on Instagram. Everybody has a number by their name and they're exposed to it all the time. It was this very like separate
mysterious.
Yeah.
Finding
element
somebody's
thing that you were
MySpace.
Yeah.
famous on. Like, you know, it was
And you didn't know too much about these scene kids too, because all you'd get is pictures
Yeah.
and their layout on their page. There was no videos or not. They would never show anything like that. So when you would see any of these scene kids in person, you felt like you were seeing a celebrity. Like anytime I
Yeah.
saw, like, I'm gonna name some people because I just think
Do
it's
it,
so
do it, do
interesting. Hillary Haywire, Drop Dead Jade.
Kiki Cannibal.
Kiki Cannibal.
Huge.
These were huge people that we thought were
So
celebrities,
weird.
but now thinking about like just looking back, you're like, wait a second, these were just kids on like but it's like
But they were
it's like being
making
TikTok
money.
famous. Yeah.
But they were doing like it's the equivalent to being like a
TikTok
an
star.
influencer, a
Yeah.
TikTok,
Right.
a Instagram person. Like it's so interesting, but it was just way before all of this.
Those
Before
were the first
big.
Instagram models.
They
Those
walked.
they
walked, so
walked.
we could run.
So funny.
We wanted to be those emo boys so fucking bad. So we'd go to the mall every fucking weekend and try to find these kids. So I was a part of that life while Heath was a part of this scene kid's life. Like this specific scene kid who like
this
this was by the way, before you continue, this is like the king of scene
wait,
in
but
this
I didn't
area.
know him at the time.
Yeah.
So I had a friend named Caesar who is he went to the Marines. I feel like you've met him. He lived out here for a little while.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
he was a Marine and just this badass fucking buff dude. Like you look at him now, but back in high school, he was like a skinny little. He was the bassist in my band. and he had the emo scene spiked in the back down like
It was
this.
almost like the "May I speak to the manager"
But, like,
haircut,
cool,
but like
right, right,
on
right,
acid,
right.
It was that.
So he had his scene friends, and I kind of like was hanging out with them, met them through that whole group, and they took me to the mall. I was welcomed. They brought me in like their own, and there was this kid at the time.
Yeah.
He was just a short kid, skinny, tiny little thing, but was like a Chihuahua pit bull.
Yeah.
That everybody feared, but he was just a little kid.
Oh, and like when I walked him and said hi, I felt like intimidated by this kid.
It's so interesting because he was tiny, but everybody feared him.
It was the Lord Farquaad of like the whole scene.
Oh my gosh.
Really?
Crazy though, but he was huge. I think it was like his popularity, and it was just like everybody like idolized this kid.
His name, MySpace name was Cries. We won't say his real name because we don't want people to reach out. His name was Cries. though.
Everybody feared him, but he walked around with a Hello Kitty backpack, Hello Kitty belt buckle, jeans that looked like they were like, you know those girls that get like the body paint, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Literally looked like that. And I remember
Basically looked the least intimidating person, but like you just, because he was like the king
Right.
of MySpace, you were just
Right.
like, he felt
I remember
untouchable.
the first time I met him, I don't know what happened, but he didn't like me.
Oh no.
Hated me. And he walked up
I
to
wonder
me.
why.
He's glam rock.
I was glam. I wasn't seen. Sorry.
He was glam rock. He was scene pop. What's the line?
He
of that
wasn't
song?
good enough for him.
Did I even say it like that far
He was
right?
a
I don't
skinny
I
know.
get where
boy.
you're going. But I remember I met the kid in person, and the first thing that happened is he walked up and he fucking pulled a knife on me at Sawgrass Mall.
Hold on you, or he was showing you his knife?
No, something was said, and he walked up, and like I guess he was just
You
asserting. his
know,
dominance.
you're making fun of him.
I probably was like, I probably didn't get the hype, and I was like, who the you got a fucking Hello Kitty backpack on. What are you gonna do? And I remember like he pulled a knife on me.
With a Hello Kitty knife.
See,
And I just remember just being like, what? I was like, you're not going to do anything. And do you remember Mopey?
Oh my
this is
God.
so weird. This is so weird, like bringing up
You
names.
have to explain what these two were like.
I know this is very descriptive for the people listening and watching right now, but so you have Cries. You have Cries, who's this tiny little thing, and then you have Mopey, who is this giant, massive, dreaded dude who was also in the scene community.
Like, you know that book of Mice and Men?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's exactly like that. So you have this little kid, and then you got this giant guy named Mopey. So Cries didn't know that I had ended up meeting Mopey a couple months before. This sounds
Okay.
insane. This is so weird that I'm remembering this.
It's like his best friend, but his security guard. Like, if something
Right.
happens to
Oh,
him, he
got
comes
it.
in like his security guard and
So, like,
basically,
I-
like,
But he
yeah,
didn't
does
know
his
Heath
thing.
was cool.
Yeah.
Right. I ended up saying something to Cries.
Yeah.
And then he calls over Mopey. He's like, Mopey, come here.
That's what it was like.
And he calls this kid over to like come like back him up, like, yeah, watch me stab him or something. But I ended up knowing this kid, so I dapped up Mopey and I was like, what's up, dude? And then I looked at Cries and he's like, and I was
Oh my
like, I was like, put
gosh.
the knife away. Like, you're not gonna fucking I'm friends with your boy that's to protect you. And like that's all that I remember of like being involved in like the scene
Oh
community. It
my
was so
goodness.
insane.
how many friends did he have?
a lot.
A lot. I mean, but everybody definitely talked about him behind his back, but everybody, I feel like everything was very fake because he was such a shitty person.
Wait.
But he was the king of scene. So it was like everybody wanted to be just like attached to him.
Well,
somehow.
I meant MySpace friends.
Thousands.
Oh, thousands. He had a lot of fucking like friends on.
But like the thing about MySpace, so like you could have thousands of people, but it's all thousand like of people in your community.
Right, in the town.
Yeah. There's so many people I tried finding on my. You can't find them.
Kiki Cannibal was the ultimate.
She was.
She was
the Paris
actually
Hilton.
She was actually internationally known.
Right.
Not so big, but like because she was best friends with who's that other scene girl? It was
that her now?
Kiki Cannibal, Rainbow Kitty.
I don't know
Remember
that one.
Rainbow Kitty?
Dakota-
I remember
Rainbow
Kitty.
Kitty.
Yeah.
It's cringy looking back on it, but I
That was
loved
it.
it.
It was
Yeah,
in,
it was
yeah.
so expressive. Like you could really express
Like,
yourself
I feel
in
like that was the e-boys of back then.
it's like a mix of that and rave people. Because they almost dressed like
Yeah.
rave people, but like halfway. They were halfway rave people. I want to bring up one more situation about Cries and Mopey. Do you remember the whole pieing phase where people would pie people at the mall? They would buy
No.
pies. They would fill it with cream. Like this was
like
no,
pie random
yeah,
people.
This was
What?
this wasn't seen as like a funny thing to do. This was just like fuck you. This was like
You got pied.
You got pied. Like, fuck you. How embarrassing. You got fucking pied. So Cries would go around and pie people. And you don't remember?
God.
I thought you were there for the big night where like Cries got pied. You don't remember this? Where somebody came. Oh my god. It was Lindsay. It was my friend Lindsay. I almost forgot who it was. But Lindsay was just a very outgoing girl who was just like wouldn't take shit. So she was like, fuck that. I'm gonna pie pies. I'm like, and I remember I was so anxious. I was so anxious about. I'm like, oh my god, you're gonna pie Cries. We're gonna get our ass kicked by Mopey. But like, I remember us going to the store, buying the pies, and I remember being so fucking scared that like Mopey's gonna beat my fucking ass because like I've seen him.
Funny.
And it reminds me of That's So Raven, like the juicer. Remember that?
Yeah. Right. It was exactly like that. It's crazy.
That's so.
So
funny.
I remember they even got it on camera, but I don't know if she still has it. But she fills up the pie, goes behind him, and pies him. And I remember we all fucking ran, and I remember like we were all just like fuck, like we're gonna get hit after that night. Like we're on, like there's gonna be a target on our back for the rest of the year after we did. But like I just remember like that whole pieing thing was so crazy. It was like getting jumped. Like it was like getting you got fucking pied, loser. Like it was crazy.
So good. Yeah, nothing like sticking it to the man. You know what I mean?
Sticking it to the man.
Nothing like, you know what? There's nothing like going and pieing a kid named Cries.
I remember in that era, we'd go to a lot. I think it was actually like a couple years after it was like a rave scene, a rave phase. You guys remember that rave phase?
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever go to like raves when you were a kid? Like places
oh my God.
that shouldn't have allowed kids under
Club
18.
Cinema. That was our like rave.
Hold on, you went?
I went one time.
I went way too many times.
There was a place called Afterlife in Dallas, and I went to that place when I was 16.
My
and there were
gosh.
people on drugs, like hardcore
first
drugs,
time
and it
ever
was this
seeing that.
warehouse party. I don't know how in the world we got into that. Looking back on it,
and like you would think like getting like because you would see like really young people like 15 14-year-olds at this rave and everybody's on drugs. It's awful. And you would think that the people like the adults running it is they're so fucking cool, like they get us. But now looking back, I'm like, that's fucking actually disgusting.
It's weird.
That these guys were like, let's get these kids in this club and get them like they're all fucked up.
That doesn't sit right
like
with me.
imagine now there's a fucking club where there's 15-year-olds popping ecstasy
if my
pills.
parents knew where I was.
So I went to one, and I had friends that were doing drugs, and I was just too scared. I would never do it. Like I've still to this day, I've never done ecstasy or Molly or anything like that. But I remember like they were all doing it, and I was like, "What do you mean?" And I just remember seeing my friends with like meeting random people just. And I'm like, what the fuck are you guys doing?
All over Club Cinema, there'd be like people with those gloves, and
the light up gloves.
And Matt and I, we make fun of it all the time. I remember like 2 years ago, like every like day, we probably once would be like, Matt,
you want me
you
want me to blow you up? And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Matt, you as one of those blow people,
or like because they always wear those like beaded masks. I always like picture like what if like one of the girls was like. Doing the finger dance in front of like her like ex-boyfriend or something, and was just like pulled on her mask and was like fuck.
Hope this ruins your fucking trip, Ryan.
Gives him the finger, like, gives him the glowing finger right at the end and pulls down her beaded mask.
So funny. And it's crazy because after like those raves are over, there was cops all over the place. They weren't there to arrest people. They were just there to like make sure that like shit didn't happen. But it's crazy. These cops saw all these underage kids leaving this club all the fucking time.
I wonder if it's still like that.
Yeah, I'm curious to see if like it's still a thing.
There's no way.
No way. It was the 2000s. It was a different time.
It was a different time.
It was a different time.
It's a different time.
And I'm gonna be completely honest. It was like I had a lot of fun at those times.
I went to one rave.
Very dark.
Do you remember foam parties?
Yes.
Oh, in college.
It was like the color parties, like the color.
I went to a
Foam party.
foam party, and I was
it a
like,
frat?
No, it was at like a club but they do like a foam
They
thing.
make them
and
look so
everybody
cool in
is
pictures.
soaking wet in this foam.
And they're like in bikinis and bathing suits. And now looking back at it is really fucking gross because
No.
they're all underage too.
No,
like, all
foam
these
parties
kids.
are bad because it creates this like barrier where you don't know like who's touching you, where it's coming from.
Yeah.
Like it gets like foam parties get bad. You can be passed out on the floor at a foam party
And you
and
can't even see
nobody
the floor.
knows.
Yeah.
Like,
and it was
it's-
really foam. It was like fucking to the top. Like you would not know what's going
your
on under.
shoes at foam parties would get soaked with like soap at the end of it, and it would just
Oh, and dye and everything. You have to throw everything away. Whatever
Oh,
you
yeah,
wore
your
to
clothes are
Raves,
done,
you threw
yeah.
it in the garbage. That's what I threw all my shit in the garbage because you could not wash. Oh god, that sounds gross. You could not wash what got on those clothes. You know what I'm saying? I would always like just throw it out before I walked in the house.
I remember when I was in college, I was rushing a fraternity, and one of the fraternity brothers like came up to me and he hated I was having like such a good time, and he had a whole cup full of red wine and he just poured it all over on my head, and I was just
What
like,
in the
Matt,
world?
it was terrible.
Immediately, man, I'm like, Matt, what did you do?
No, I didn't do anything. I think he
That's
didn't like
crazy.
that. Like I don't know. I was hitting it off with people and just having a good time. And he was,
you were a fucking pledge, and you hooked up with the president's girl.
but just getting poured on with like wine is just like,
Oh.
ugh. Like it just like I mean,
Yikes.
it completely stains your clothes and you just reek of wine.
I'm gonna be honest. That's one experience I wish I had, like
rushing a fraternity.
being a pledge and rushing, like rushing and then like becoming like a.
I was way too shy to ever get into that world. Like I knew I wouldn't survive because I would just not get accepted in anything
I
like
think
that.
because I saw like all of my best friends go away to college and they got to have that experience and they were part of like the frat and they just like seemed so excited and they loved the brotherhood aspect of everything, and I was just like, I wish I just had. I
Yeah,
wish I
but
was
you're-
hazed. I wish I had that experience to look back on and be like, yeah, you know, the guy made me drink an entire bottle of dip spit, and like in
Nah.
order to be part of this,
or
like,
a butter dog.
know.
I had one friend when he rushed a fraternity, they made him eat an entire like a hot dog bun with a whole slab of butter, and he had to eat the whole thing.
oh,
Fuck. But we went to a community college.
that's right. We
We
saved our parents' money.
It's crazy how like cheap it was to go to that Broward College and to go to like these other fucking
I
schools that all of our
know.
friends were going to. And it was getting paid because we'd have financial aid. I remember those financial aid checks were fucking loading our bank account. Like, dude, remember getting like $2,000 financial aid checks?
I didn't make money off of financial aid. I remember it covered probably 70% of my books. And then I remember I was working full time.
Yeah.
And then I had to pay the rest. And I was like, oh my God, books are so expensive.
Dude, that's what I remember it like covering my stuff and much like I got much more. Like I was getting
He was getting hooked up.
extra like, but like you know what I think it was because I was putting Middle Eastern and all my shit. And I think that's what's like honestly getting me. But I mean, no, I didn't put that on purpose. I just put Middle Eastern because I am Middle Eastern. Like I'm from Lebanon.
I didn't have any like grants or scholarships or anything like that.
But I do remember like my dad or my stepmom was encouraging me to like sign up for like Lebanese scholarship because there was like Middle Eastern Lebanese scholarship. So I was doing it, but you had to write an essay. And I was not.
Zane didn't want to take their time to write the essay, so he just
I would write the essays, but fuck, you read that and you honestly, you would never give me the time of day after reading
Zane
my
was
essay.
the only one that submitted an essay. So they're like, all right, Zane, you got it.
There was a scholarship in Texas called like the Tall Texan Scholarship, and if you were over a certain like height
What?
and you wrote like a creative essay about being tall, you could get a scholarship.
So you got
okay,
in.
so that means there's one person that has to be like, I would like to donate this much money in order for any person that's above this height that needs a scholarship to get.
Oh, hold on.
know,
Is that how it works?
Well,
What?
yeah, there has to be like a collective group of people who
Right, that's what,
represent
like-
this and pool together money to give it as a scholarship to a student who's tall.
Oh my! I didn't even know that. That's,
We do a Zane and Heath unfiltered scholarship. For anybody that listens to our podcast, please write in why you love our podcast so much and what helped
I don't even know if you
get
should
it.
be putting that out as an idea, right?
oh my!
That would be crazy.
That because you could get a scholarship for anything. I remember like all the scholarships that would be out there, and you're like you could get a scholarship for that.
I got
and
a
it
few
was working.
scholarships.
We do it, but it turns into Scott's Tots. We don't realize how much it's going to be.
Oh, like
Scott's
The
Tot.
Office where he
Yeah.
says he was
Yeah.
going to pay for an entire.
Oh,
And then the
that
time
was-
came.
A cringy episode to watch. Oh
So
my
funny.
god,
funny.
so good though. It was such a good episode. They were just like Remember you promised us like 15 years ago.
He brought them laptop chargers or something.
Oh my God.
Well, they're not
So
the
good.
computers. They're just the chargers, but.
God, I remember I'd fucking plagiarize all my essays.
What?
Is this plagiarizing where you would...
When you like copy and paste something.
No,
from an
you
article
copy
you
and
read.
paste it, but then you just
Reword
reword it.
Died in the fire last night during
Last
the
night,
fire.
he died in the fire.
Did I tell you about the time where I plagiarized an entire Pocahontas essay? My dumbass goes to Google Pocahontas, probably the second link. And I remember I left it last minute and I just copied and pasted it. Guys, wait, this is fucking crazy. So I get up and it's my turn to read the essay and I start reading it.
She starts reading it with you because she knew which one. So she, as you're saying it,
That's
she's like
exactly
reading.
what happened.
Oh wait, really? That's so funny.
At the fifth sentence, she goes to her desk, pulls out a paper, and finishes my essay for me.
In
That's
front of the
so
class?
In
funny.
front of the class.
What grade?
This was, I think it was in like 7th or 8th grade.
Oh, my
It was so fucking embarrassing. But like, it wasn't like I tried to like make it my own. I blatantly copied and pasted it. It was like the dumbest thing I've ever done.
The funniest thing was like the plagiarizing percentage. Do you remember that when you would get your
Yes.
Oh
article
my
back?
God,
Yes,
the fucking
yes, yes.
system.
And it would run through this like program
And
that would let
sometimes
you
it was
know
just a coincidence.
right how much of your stuff was taken from another
Right.
essay
But
that was
sometimes
turned
your
in.
sentence was just very similar to another one online.
Right, but at
Yeah.
the same time, it's like how many different ways can you word what somebody had done
A
throughout
fact,
history?
right.
It's
But I remember Miss Krause, I don't know if this was like possible for everybody. She would allow us to send it in one essay to see how much it was plagiarized. So we got to send it in. We see 76% plagiarized. So we got to redo it
Oh, very
and send it
nice.
again to make sure it was like a good.
That's
Miss
nice.
Krause was so strict, but I know deep down she was a fucking good-hearted teacher and she wanted the
Yeah,
best for
she
all
was
of us.
nice.
A lot of us hated her, but she was such a fucking like good teacher to everybody. Like if I saw her today, I'd be genuinely happy to see her.
yeah.
Like in the middle of like her grocery
She
store or
was
something.
nice. Gabe and I, this was my best friend in high school. We had our senior project together, and it was beach cleanup. We didn't do shit our entire senior year, and like literally a week before our senior project was due, we held a beach cleanup, and we were so,
Oh my, we're awful. We're going to hell.
we did this beach cleanup, and we were talking about all the different how much pounds of trash we picked up, what we weighed for each different type of trash. All the numbers were bullshit. We were showing like cigarette butts that were like we picked up throughout the beach.
Were you, like, taking
But it
pictures?
was me smoking fucking
Oh
cigarettes.
no!
And it was like most of the cigarettes were mine.
Oh
And
my
I-
gosh.
we fucking won an award for how good our shit looked. And I was like,
no.
everything was falsified. I feel so bad, but it was like
You won like the honorary award.
Oh my goodness.
the beach cleanup was the beach cleanup.
And that beach did not get cleaned
We
up.
passed out cigarette butt ashtray things, so what, like to people smoking around, you could put your butts in the thing so you weren't littering. Oh my god, it was this whole to do, but
Clever.
I was sitting over here. 222 cigarettes cleaned up.
You'd flick it on the sand. You take your little hand picker.
It was bad, but yeah, we
One time,
high school was fun.
You know, you took that award. You were proud.
I was
dude.
I first place. I'm on stage. So bad, dude. So bad.
We were just trying to pass. We just wanted to just get through it. We didn't want to do it.
We just wanted to get to college. What were you saying, Matt?
one time when I was in college, I had an anthropology class, and there was always like this side discussion class, which was like one of the teacher's assistants who would assign you your essay for the class, and you had to write about it. We had to write it about like an ancient archaeological like discovery. And there was this one about Göbekli Tepe. And I spent, dude, forever on this essay writing it. And trust me, I did not plagiarize this essay.
We didn't either.
No, I didn't plagiarize this essay. But while I was writing it, I forgot to quote, or I wrote like or no, I wrote splashed with bas reliefs or something, which is like the imprints on like ancient tombs or whatever. But I guess I had saw splashed bas reliefs, and that came from an article, but I didn't put that in quotes. I thought that was just like it was 3 words that was also that should have been quoted from a thing. And when she got the essay, and I remember they were handing him back, she didn't hand back mine. Ooh. And I was like, "What? Why didn't you hand mine back up?"
Before you continue, what point of education were you? Were you in high school?
I was
college?
A sophomore in college.
Oh, okay. I feel like college is very serious when it comes to shit like that. Yeah.
And I remember she handed back all the essays and didn't hand back mine, and so I stayed back after class, and I go, I didn't get my essay, and dude, I was very proud of this essay. It was very good, and she goes, yeah, I would like for you to come to my office hours, and we need to talk about it. And I was like, oh, okay. And
over exaggerating.
And then I remember so I was angry. I didn't know what my grade was for the essay. I then sent her an email after and was like, oh, maybe I didn't. She didn't say the office hours thing, but I emailed her and I was like, hey, I really would like to get the grade on my report, and can we set a time for you to tell me what my grade is? And she had never responded to my emails in the past. And I finished the email with, I expect a response to this email.
Matthew.
Sassy.
No, and get this.
Why'd you say?
Because I was just a stressed out college student, and I wanted to know my grade.
Yeah.
Like I was because during that time I wanted to go to law school.
Yeah.
And I needed to have an A in a class, and I was freaking out. I go, what's wrong with this essay that she thinks is questionable? So I remember that night I was so angry, and I'm venting to my roommate, and I'm like, I can't stand this teaching assistant woman. She is holding back my essay. She thinks plagiarizing. I'm like, what is plagiarized about this essay? I don't even know. And then I was like so angry, I wanted to go look at her Facebook because I was just like, I can't stand this woman. And I go to her Facebook, and I wasn't even friends with her. She had a public Facebook status. She goes, just received an email from one of my students that says, I expect a response to this email.
Get the fuck out of here.
She goes, sincerely wanting to punch you in your face.
Oh my God.
This is what she said on her Facebook status. Sincerely wanting to punch you in your face for your disrespect or whatever. Or for your lack of respect.
Oh, I would have sent that shit straight to the principal.
So
We are going to
the dean. You are in deep trouble.
You are
sending this to the dean. Well, and so I see this Facebook status, and my heart sinks because, one, I feel bad. I shouldn't have said, I expect a response to this email. That was stupid and pompous and selfish of me. I was a stressed out college student. So I see this Facebook status. And then I go to her office hours and meet with her. And she goes, so...
Knowing that you saw this status.
She didn't know that he saw it.
No, I know, but like you knowing, like you know the status.
So I go into this little lab, and she's a grad student who's this teaching assistant. And there's another woman that's like her colleague or whatever there working on a computer. And she goes, okay, Matt, this is what I noticed with your essay. You have this line where you said splashed with bas reliefs, and that comes from an article and you didn't quote it. And I'm just not really buying that this seems like you like plagiarized this. And I'm like, I'm so sorry. That probably was inspired by an article I read, but everything I did right was that. I'm sorry it wasn't in quotes. She goes, I know, but like we really have to take this seriously, and I'm just not buying it. So I'm going to give you a 70 for passing the thing, but like this is taking and then I was like, okay. And I was really biting my tongue, and I was so angry. And then she gives me back my essay, and then I'm like walking to the door, and then I stop and I go,
so when are you gonna punch me in the face?
No, I should. Well, I go. I'm like turning red because I feel so embarrassed.
I can't even imagine Matt.
I did this, and I go,
I would have the balls
hey,
to do this. Fuck that.
I was really stressed out last night, and I just wanted to let you know that your Facebook statuses are actually public. And I did read your status about, and once again, I am sorry for saying I expect a response to this email. It's because you hadn't responded to 3 of my emails in the past, but you said that you wanted to punch my face for my lack of respect. I apologize, but I just want to let you know that I can see that and everybody can see that. And I'll never forget her face just dropping. And the woman that was like her colleague was like typing on a computer and just stopped and was like, oh my God. And she just looked at me and was like, and I said nothing, and I walked out the door.
And then he checked his grade with 100 a couple days later.
No, it didn't change to 100. I still got a 70. And then I'll never forget, I was at ACL, Austin City Limits, the music festival, and I was stoned, chilling with my friends, and I look over to my side, and she's standing there with her boyfriend.
Get the fuck out of
She's
here!
standing there with her boyfriend, and I'm like, oh my God, that's my anthropology TA. And then I was just like, I nudged her, I was like, hey, I'm so sorry about the punch in the face. And she was just like, she just looked at me and then like whispered in her husband's ear and they walked away.
That's so fun.
Matt, that's fucking nuts. Actually nuts.
But honestly, I was a little shit. I didn't plagiarize that essay though. I didn't quote those 3 words.
Matt, yeah, you were being a little sassy in that email because, it was your 3rd email. You were very stressed out. Yeah, you should have been a little nicer. But she's a fucking teacher at a college.
And was not realizing her Facebook statuses were
She would have lost her job if this happened today and you brought that up to the dean.
No. I feel like she would have gotten fired even back then for posting some shit like that.
Shit like that makes me feel so bad because I was faking everything and got away with it. And he probably worked his ass off.
I probably got a C on that Pocahontas essay too.
Now that's comedy.
Do you remember Criminal Justice?
We were up.
We stayed up the night it was due, typing this essay, finished it, pressed print, and then went straight to class.
What was the essay about?
It was about special needs probationers and parolees.
Right.
So the picture says, let the night begin, 10-page paper, smiley face, gun emoji. It says the title, nothing, and then there's just 4 Red Bull cans.
Oh, no.
Oh, my
We
gosh.
did this starting at probably 11 o'clock at night, finished it, pressed print, and went straight to class.
Zane has no memory of
No.
it.
I thought you were saying that something happened to all the pages. Like we printed out and we got to class and it was like nothing was on the paper.
Oh, no, we just...
Oh, I thought that's why I'm like sitting here. I'm like, what the fuck happened? Because I don't remember.
No, I'm
this.
saying like he probably worked so hard to do his essays and research and everything, and we're over here. But all right, guys, that's it for today's episode. Thank you so much for tuning in. As always, this is Zane and Heath Unfiltered. As you know, we post the podcast every single Monday and then the video version every single Tuesday.
On youtube.com/Zane and Jazzy. We got merch, baby.
Zane
Make sure to
Hijazi,
go
so
get it. Oh, did I say Zane and Jazzy?
Ooh. Big yikes.
Yikes.
Oh, fuck. Don't cancel me, please. youtube.com/Zane and Heath. Sorry.
I'm kidding. I'm just giving you a hard time.
That's funny.
That's funny. Okay. Yeah. youtube.com/Zane and Heath. Make sure to get the merch if you guys want. We're about to have new ones soon, very soon.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you guys so much for listening to us, and we'll be back with you next week.
We love you guys.
Bye.
Bye.